Hey everybody, this is Izzy. This is another tank tutorial video. In this particular tank tutorial video, I'm going to walk you through from the beginning to the end of creating a tank for Starsiege. Number one thing we want to do first is there's a few things we want to do before we even begin to start modeling or doing anything like that. Take a look here. These are our key formations. If you haven't watched Tank Tutorial 1, you may want to watch that before you get to this point. This is just an overview of everything that I've showed in the last two videos, and in this video I will actually show you a tank in Starsiege working. I will release another video at a later date due to I just ordered a book on how to actually do certain things in 3D Max 2.5, which is a very old software, but things that I'm still having trouble with is UVW mapping, which is basically creating skin palettes for these models. So this model here will not have a skin palette, but I will be showing you how to texture treads and how to get them to rotate in the game. Okay, for this particular part of the video, we will notice that we mostly have Bezier, TCB Bezier for our keys. Mostly everything here is Bezier, TCB Bezier. So what we want to do is just go ahead and go up here to our Motions tab. I'm sorry. Let me find it right here to where it says motion. Go to assign controller. Okay, and go ahead and, well, first of all, what we'll do is we'll go ahead, I guess, and make a tread. Here's my top viewport. Now what you want to do here is you want to be able to build your tank on the correct scale for Starsiege. You don't want to do too much scaling on this. If you screw up and you do need to scale your tank down, or if it's too big or too large, go up here to the utilities tab and you'll see something called rescale world units. Hit rescale, drop this down a little bit, and you'll see all the parts of your model shrink. If you don't see the button here, you can add it by clicking here, adding another button on the total button set, scrolling down, and adding that particular button to this your particular version of Max. So like I said, I want to be able to scale this down correctly. So if you can look down here, you can see a square right in the middle of this crosshairs. You need to zoom down and use this hand tool. You need to zoom down until you can see that square pretty closely. You actually need your tank in this square, right where the black crosshairs are. I'm going to do the same here on my top viewport, because I'm going to need these as well. Okay, top viewport. Top viewport. Okay, now I got this square here. No problem. What I want to do now is I'm just going to make a box for a tread. Nothing super fancy. So this is basically my left tread. I'm going to go ahead and name it left underscore tread. Alright, I want to make sure that it's centered up with my with this square cross here in the middle. So let's go ahead and just kind of move that around a little bit. Going to move it back on a Y axis here till I'm looking at the left viewport right here, and I'm lining it up to the dead center there by the Z. See that Z? That's the pivot. It's in the middle of the object. Okay, now I want to create a right tread. What I can do is go up here to edit and hit clone. Call it right underscore tread. Okay, and then I want to do is just move that over on a Y axis probably. No, need to move it over on an X axis. And I'm looking at my top viewport now to try to get that kind of in alignment there. Okay, good. So I'm going to take a box now, another box. I'm going to go up to my top viewport here, and I'm just going to make me a body of some sort. Like I said, this tank ain't going to be pretty, and I'm sure yours will look a lot better, but for now, as for me, I personally don't know. But what I was going to tell you earlier was what I should have done as soon as I made my first tread. I'm going to delete all these back. As soon as I made my first tread, I should have went up here to my motions tab, go back and look here, and it'll show you here that the majority of these is Bezier, TCB Bezier. So I'm going to go back up here and make this particular tread Bezier, make default TCB Bezier. Now everything I make will have Bezier, TCB Bezier, and it'll make it easier later on when I go back to see, this is already going to be Bezier, TCB Bezier, so I don't have to worry about doing that. My box, my body, if you want to call it that, is going to be Bezier, TCB Bezier, which is great because I've already got that set up for it, as you can tell right here. Okay, now I have a head that I'm going to need to make. Yeah, by the way, this is called body. Name it as such, body. Alright, now I got a box. You can use a box, sphere, whatever. A sphere would have more polygons. So I'm going to line that to the center of this on an XYZ axis. And I'm going to raise it up on a Z axis here. I'm just going to call this the head. I'm going to edit and clone that head. And I'm going to call it the cockpit. Then I'm going to edit and I'm going to clone that again. And I'm going to call it the AUX underscore AO. Okay. And the auxiliary AO is where your weapons mount. Now the auxiliary AO, you go back and look and you can see the auxiliary AO is Bezier, TCB Bezier. The head is as well. But the cockpit is not. It's Bezier, linear Bezier. So we need to change that right now. Before we forget, the cockpit is Bezier, linear Bezier. Alrighty, so everything else should be pretty much correct. There's one thing we are missing, and that is our base. So what we want to do is go into a pyramid, and we want to create a very small pyramid that goes down, as you can see up here in my front view. I'll make it a little larger so you can check it out. There we go. Now you want to line your pyramid to the center of your cockpit head and all that other stuff. And of course you're going to want to make a better cockpit, I'm sure, than what we're doing here. Which basically you can use the merge tool. Go to File and Merge, and take a cockpit off of one of the other vehicles in Starsiege. You know what? Let's do that. That's all good. Let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up another copy of 3D Studio Max 2.5. Excuse that. Open that up. I'm going to open up a vehicle of some sort here. Matter of fact, there's the Apox cockpit. I've already extracted, but for sake of argument here, I'm going to go ahead and just open up the Dreadlock. Okay. Open up the Dread. Go up here to this tab that says Display. Just unhide everything. Hit Unhide All, and everything will be unhid and available to you to use. What you want to do is go down here and find the word Cockpit, and there it is, Cockpit. Hit Select, and then hide the selected, and then go to Edit, Select All, and delete everything. Now unhide all, and there's the cockpit for the Dreadlock. So what we want to do is go File, Save As, Dreadlock Cockpit. This is how you can use body parts off of other hercs on your model. So go ahead and kind of go back to our other model here. I'm going to close that one out with a dreadlock because it could cause complications with our model. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete my cockpit, the one that I built that was really crappy. And I'm going to go to File and go to Merge. And I'm going to merge the cockpit, the dreadlock cockpit, into my model. Look at there. It almost went right where it was supposed to. Isn't that cool? I'm going to have to line it up a little bit. I can use my line tool. And I just kind of put it into the center of the head would be a good thing. So X, Y, and Z, center of the head. Well, damn, it's almost the exact same size as the thing that I made here, so that's pretty good. I'm assuming it's facing the correct way. Looks like it is. So there it is. I used a cockpit off of another Starsiege Herc, or another Starsiege Tank. So now I'm going to go ahead, since all this is done, I'm going to go ahead and just set up a hierarchy here. Set up my hierarchy. I want to select everything. Wait, before I even do anything, that pyramid that I made has to be named. Call it COLL0. That's your collision. That's your collision perimeter. Select everything, head, left tread, right tread, cockpit, body, everything. Hit select. This is your selection tool. That's how you do that. Go over and click on the link tool and link everything to your collision. Hit link. Go back and hit your select tool again and go back here. And as you can see, everything now, display subtree, everything now is part of my collision mesh. Okay, now the cockpit and the auxiliary AO, hold down your control button on your keyboard. You want to select those and you want to link those to the head. Okay, alright, so we have collision, body, head, auxiliary AO, cockpit, left tread and right tread. Sweet. Okay, so the head, actually, take the head and link it to the body. Okay, so now we have what looks kind of like a backwards C, and yours should look like a backwards C as well. Collision, body, head, auxiliary AO, cockpit, then left tread and right tread underneath here. Okay, now what we need to do is we're going to lay down a couple sequences. So we go over here to our helpers tab. See where it says helpers. We want to scroll down to general, and we want to lay down a sequence with a cellular frame rate of 30, no transform, collapse, or and use cell frame rate. So we want to do that. We want to call this SEQ01 underscore cockpit. And once again, we want to lay down another one here. Same deal, except cell frame rate's going to be 15. We want to call it SEQ02 underscore left underscore tread. Also, you can merge these in from the other tanks. It works better if you do it that way. Just the exact same way I just showed you how to do the cockpit merge. You can merge in the sequences from the dreadlock, or if you have that dreadlock. If you don't, you can go to Tarzidi, look up GSE Tarzidi, tarzidi.com, and go to the IRC chat room, and someone there will be able to help you with that. 03. But I'm showing you from scratch how to do this. Okay. Now what you need to do after you get these set up, right now we're not going to do anything with that. What we need to do now, if we got our hierarchy set up, we have our tank set up, everything here set up, we need to go into our track view. As you can see up at the top, open track view. What you need to do is you need to add vision tracks to your head and your cockpit. So your head, go up here and click on this eyeball. It looks like an eye. Add a visibility track. And I want you to go over here where it says add keys and break that visibility track somewhere close to the beginning here. Go down to your cockpit. Your cockpit, as you can see, already has a visibility track because you imported it from the Dreadlock. I imported it. But if I did not import this from the Dreadlock, what I would want to do is click on cockpit, click on the eyeball, add a visibility track, and I would want to break my cockpit visibility track right here, basically by going and clicking on my keys tab and going click, click, right in the middle of where my head visibility track ends. Okay? Now, the left tread and the right tread also have to have keys. The reason being is because they're going to animate. But as of right now, I'm going to do that I'm actually going to do this animation in the game, so I'm not going to do it here in the track view. But go down to your sequence, go down to your cockpit sequence, where it says object sequence, go to cell frame rate. You can see I have 30 in there. Okay, go ahead and add keys to this, say from 20 to 40. That's going to be your cockpit animation, which makes your cockpit turn. For your left tread, your sequence, cell frame rate, how about from 40 to 60, and on this other one we're going to do it from 60 to 80. You don't want these really to overlap, because basically what this is this is telling Starsiege that the left tread animates on keys 40 to 60 and the right tread animates on keys 60 to 100, which that's quite a bit. I'm going to move that a little bit. I'm going to move these keys. How about from 80 to 100? Yeah, I think that's going to be a little better. So 80 to 100 is going to be the right, and from 40 to 60 is going to be the left. I'm not too worried about the cockpit because that's kind of built into the game. As far as the track view goes, that's about it. I'm sorry I don't know a lot about the terminology of these things. I learned all this myself, no books. I just sat and I fooled with these Starsiege models until I figured these things out myself. And it took me a while. I'm not going to lie to you. But now I'm able to create vehicles that actually work in the game. So let's go up here and let's go ahead and edit our model to make it look more like a tank. This thing looks like I don't know, it looks really stupid. So hold down the control key and select the left tread and the right tread. I'm going to grab me some. Go down here, let's blow this up where we can see it. I clicked on this full screen tab here and blowed it up. Go up here to your modify tab and click on edit mesh. Alright, now for a sub object we got vertex. That's fine for what we're fixing to do. What I want you to do is just drag over the top of these 4 particular points here that you can see, and I want you to move those back on a y-axis, I guess. Okay, move those back, and as you can see, that just kind of lays that back. Great. Okay. Now what we're going to do is do the same thing up here for our whatchamadinger head here, but we got to select the head, the auxiliary AO, and the cockpit, because, well, not the cockpit, just the head, the auxiliary AO. The cockpit's already, remember the cockpit came off something else, but I'm not going to take it back very far because I don't want to mess it up and make the cockpit stick out and extrude from it. So see, right there's already messing it up. So I just did that and kind of pushed it back a little bit. The body, same deal, except I'm just going to pull the top part back. Edit mesh modifier, take the top two parts here, pull them back, make it look like that. Alright, I'm going to rotate it. I'm trying to show you guys how to edit your models here. Alrighty, I'm going to take off the sub object again, and boom, boom, sub object, take the top two, and I want to push them forward. I'm going to show you something right here that's interesting. Push them forward a little bit. Alright, take subject off. Now I want to select the face. Okay, go back to my 4 panes here. And as you can see here in my left view, it's looking kind of cool. When you're selecting your faces, basically you're selecting certain parts. As you can see at the top here, I just selected that and hold the control key down on my keyboard, and I've selected that. Okay, now what does that mean? What can you do? What are you trying to tell me here, Izzy? Well, what I'm trying to tell you is if you can select certain faces, you can animate certain faces. Okay, now before I jump into that, I want to go ahead and I want to show you how to animate your tank tread. Now remember earlier I told you that it was 40 to 60 was the left tread, I think. So I'll go up here to 40 and I'm going to go ahead and do these percent snaps. I hit animate on 40. I'm just going to drag this up to 60. Okay. Or, to be honest with you, it don't really matter. You can do all 4 treads at the same time, and I tell you what, because if they're animating from 0 to 100, my track view tells this particular animation for the left tread to only animate between 2 keys, so it doesn't really matter when I do the animations. I'm going to select my faces here again, right here on my selection tool. I'm going to select, hold my control key down, and select my faces. I don't even have to rotate my tank. I can do it in the top viewport if I want. Alrighty, and I'm just going to pick a bitmap out of Starsiege. I don't have a tread bitmap per se. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go and click on diffuse bitmap, C: Dynamax, Starsiege. It's probably going to be just some kind of skin of some sort. I don't really. How about let's see what something looks cool. None of this is going to look cool. You're going to want a tank tread, xtread.bmp, but for sake of time, I don't have that, so I'm just going to use something that's dark. How about lava? That's fine. There it is. Hit this right here, assign material to selection. Okay, now my treads have the lava skin on them, which is kind of cheesy, but for sake of show here, it's worth doing. So sub-object face. So we went to our edit mesh modifier. We selected our faces that we want to animate. Sub-object face. Okay. Now what you need to do is leave it on sub-object face and go up here to UVW map. Okay. Now when you do that, it's going to kind of screw up your textures a little bit. That's why it's important for us to figure out how to do UVW mapping in 3D Max 2.5, which once I get this book, I'll be making another tutorial video. Click on Sub-Object Gizmo, Planier. Then what you want to do is you want to pull that forward, and as you can see, those particular faces that I have selected beforehand are moving. Click off your animate button, and now move your slider, and you'll notice that those faces are animated. That's how animation is done on the treads in Starsiege. Okay, Now we have an animated bitmap on our tank. Great. Now you're asking yourself here, what's next? Good question. What's next is copying, the greatest part of this whole venture. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here, open up our list menu, go to collision, hold down the shift button, and select all of our stuff here. Hit select, go to edit, clone, and I want you to name this base A32. Alright, once you name that base A32, I want you to go ahead, hit edit, clone again, and name that base B16. These are our level of detail. This is our level of sight, base B16. Edit, hit clone again. What you want to do after that is go to base C8. Okay. Edit, clone again. You want to name this one base D4. Now basically what these are, go back to your list thing here, click on your arrow, go back to your list, and you'll see this big enormous hierarchy here now. Okay, what you want to do now is go under your collision. This is the first thing we set up, and delete auxiliary AO and cockpit, and under the base D4 delete auxiliary AO and cockpit. We don't need those because the collision is basically just the hull of the vehicle, and the base D4, what that particular set of objects is what shows up in the little circle up at the top of your screen when you target your enemy. Now what you want to do with the base D4 is go ahead and select base D4 and collision. Just select those both, hold the shift key down, hit select, go up here to your display key and hit hide the unselected. That'll hide everything else. So now all we have selected, all we have available to us is base D4 and collision. Okay, just select all and go up here to your material editor and select one of these particular shades here. Click on here right beside where it says material number 7. Just click on standard and click on multi-sub object. Discard old material. Just leave it all gray. So this little thing here, assign material to selection, and just turn that gray. Now what you'll want to do though for your collision mesh, for your COLL0, is you'll want to set up another multi-sub object. Not like that. You'll want to go over to standard again, multi-sub object, discard old material, turn it gray again. Click on these different gray swatches here and make each one of these a different color for all the particular colors of our vehicle. And what that does is that gives each particular part of this vehicle a material ID. And later on this will be very important when we go to set up and create our skin palettes, which right now we're not going to do. So number is 6, set number 6, and you can see here we've created a multi-sub texture now. What you can do now is go in here to your COLL0, and let's see here, I'm going to hide the base D4 and everything under it. It needs to stay gray, so I'm going to hide all that. Now all I have here is my COLL0. So I'm going to select my right tread, and I'm going to hit this little assign material to selection. Now look what it's done. It's made part of that green and part of that pink. Why? Because where I edit the mesh and I added a UVW map, it's actually showing where I've done that at. It's actually showing that I've edited that particular selection. And this is also a crucial part of skinning as well. So like for example, you can see where I've added the edit mesh modifier and pulled those back as well. But I'm going to put this one here. I'm just going to go to Edit, Select All, and just put this entire thing right there. Okay, and you can tell. Now if I wanted to skin this, I could probably go to Unwrap UVW right here and hit Edit, and you can see where the different parts are laid out for skinning here. But that's going to be another tutorial. Okay, so we've got our hierarchy set up. One thing you want to do with the hierarchy, if you want to, let's go ahead and just do unhide all. I want to unhide everything. Unhide all. Okay, now everything's unhid. For example, here, your body 0, 1, it's not supposed to have a 0 there. It's supposed to be a 1, I'm sorry. This is supposed to be just body 1. This is supposed to, actually, no, this is supposed to be body 0. So whenever you copy them, it kind of messes up the names on them. So body 0, I'm just going to take a moment and rename all these. I want this to actually to run in Starsiege. I don't want any complications. Auxiliary A0. Cockpit is supposed to be cockpit, not cockpit 0. Left tread 0. Right tread 0. This is supposed to be body 1. I'm going to actually show you guys this one working in Starsiege. Head 1. Auxiliary A1. Cockpit 1. Left tread 1. Right tread 1. And so forth and so on here. Base C8 should be 2. It takes a while to do this. This is the funnest part of the whole venture. But who cares, you know, I mean, if we can actually get a tank in Starsiege that operates, who cares if it takes 30 minutes to do it? We've waited how many years now? How many years have we waited since 1998 just to be able to gather this information, be able to do these things that we're able to do now? It's just sad that it came a little late, but there's always the Torque game engine, and what I'm showing you now can be utilized and used in Torque game engine. Torque game engine is the exact, almost as Dark Star, and what's interesting about that is I don't think they realized it, but when they were making the Torque game engine, it also can call sequences. It can call sequences exactly the way the Dark Star engine from Starsiege does. So you can create a tank this way, and you can go into and import this into Torque. Create it this way, not the way Torque says to do it, and it will function in Torque. You just have to call the sequences from a script file that exists in Torque. Oh, this select. Okay. So now I have all my particulars here set up correctly. I have my hierarchy set up and named correctly. Everything is correct. I have one more thing I have to create, and that is my bounding box. So basically a bounding box is just a box that goes around everything, as I'm doing here. Now it has to be linear, linear, linear. So let's do that. Linear, 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 and it will be named bounds. Bounds. One more thing I want to check real quick. Speaking of linear, 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 I need to check and make sure I didn't do it. Okay, now see, I almost screwed up here. My base A32 is supposed to be linear, linear, linear. And I did not create that here, so I'm going to have to go back through all of them and do them that way. Linear, linear, linear. Alright, base B16. Because I've copied those over and over, they have the same characteristics as the original. So I need to go through and I need to make all these linear. Sorry about that, guys. I guess I'm not a very good teacher here, but whoever's watching this video, you're stuck with me, I guess, because well, maybe soon there will be someone else that'll be able to help me on some of this. Snow, if he can get his ass in gear. Linear, linear, linear. And your collision should be linear, linear, linear. Linear, linear, linear. Okay, I think we're done. One thing that I will do is go up here to View, go to Unit Setup, make sure this is on meters. It helps it run smoother in the game. Now this particular tank we just built is modeled after the Knight's Miradmon, but you could put pods on it too. If you wanted to have pods on the head, no problem. Just create 2 pods, put up there, link them. Use the dreadlock as a reference. Open the dreadlock up and look how its pods are done. Use it for a reference. I'm going to export this actually as a Knight's Miradmon because I want to show you guys how it works in the game. Viacon combining exporter.dts kn_myrm.dts. Go to C:, Dynamax, Starsiege. That's where she's going, right there in the Starsiege directory. I already have one in there that I was fooling around with earlier. So let's go look at this monstrosity in Starsiege and see what we think about it. It should be sexy anyway. Should be pretty ugly. It may even crash, I'm not sure, depending on the texture, if the texture were not. And it did crash. Reason it crashed was because it doesn't have a proper skin on it. It crashed for that reason alone, so I'm going to go up here and hide the bounding box. I'm going to hide my collision, my base D4 and my collision. I'm going to hold down the select button. I'm going to select those and I'm going to hide those. Okay. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to hide my helpers, which are my sequences. Oh, one more thing too, I forgot about camera. You need to put a camera right in the middle of your cockpit. So go to camera, hit free. Okay. Your far range should be 5.4 meters. Just click down here and make sure you rotate the camera to where it's pointing forward, because that'd be kind of silly if you're looking at the ground. This is basically where you're going to sit in the vehicle. I'm going to have trouble doing this, I guess. Here we go. And as you can see, I'm looking at my top view here. I'm going to align that to the center of the cockpit, okay? Cockpit. X, Y, Z. Okay, so now my camera's in the center of the cockpit, or fairly close to it, it looks like. Maybe not dead center, but anywho, I think my cockpit's backwards from what I can tell. That's okay though. Let me get this model in the game. Then we can, once we get in the game, we can go in the game, check it out, edit it if it needs editing. I can actually use my multi-sub texture. Well, I don't want to do all of it, the multi-sub texture, because it would mess up my treads that I did. Now my treads are only going to need to be used for the base A32, the actual animated part. So the base B16 and so forth all the way down. Select those, and you can, of course you're going to have a skin on yours, but for right now I'm going to see if this will help. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. And it may be just that particular bitmap that I'm using on the treads, that's not going to work out. So I'm going to go up and do a little creative tinkering here in a minute. I'll show you what I'm talking about, and see it crashed again. So I'm going to have to do a little creative tinkering here, and I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my command prompt here, cmd, and I'm going to go into the gameobjects.vol, cd dot dot, cd dot dot, cd Dynamax, cd Starsiege, vt list, star dot bmp, gameobjects.vol. That's going to list all the bitmaps in gameobjects.vol for me. Then I want to go down and find the tread one. I want to find one that is the tread. So look for xtread, xtread.bmp. So that's what it's called, xtread.bmp. Cool. So I don't really want to take the time to extract that and convert it and all that. So I'm just going to go into my Starsiege directory, and I'm just going to find a standard bitmap in there. Dynamax Starsiege. I'm going to go in my skins folder here. What I'm doing is I'm going to take this APOC lava, and I'm going to hit Control X, and I'm going to paste it over here in my main directory, Control V, because I can probably use it on another vehicle later on. Xtread, call it xtread. Now I have an xtread.bmp, which looks like I already have one anyway, but I'm going to delete that one. Delete you, xtread. Rename xtread. Okay. So that's what we're going to do with that. And then I'm going to go back in my 3D Max file here, and I'm going to go up here to my base A32, and I'm going to select it. And instead of this particular tallow lava that I was using, I'm going to find that xtread bitmap. There it is. Same. That's cool. For some reason it added the particular skin to the whole model. That's fine. I just want to see if it works. Export. Wait, no. I can't do that. I cannot do that. Let me show you why. Hit Control Z if you mess up. Control Z will back it up for you. I guess it'll be okay. Let me see if I can get it to show up in the game. Export. This is a tedious process working with these shapes. It'll take a long while to even get to where you can get your shape into the game, as you can see. But once you do, it's well worth it. Weapons and such is a lot easier to create. They only have 2 or 3 parts, and it's not as bad. Okay, there's that big ugly monster. It's right there in the game. It's not pretty though, but it's in there, as you can see. It didn't crash. Looks like we're good. I'm going to see if I can actually join a game with it. Let's see if I can actually join the game with this puppy. It's going to be ugly, but it'll be in the game. Look here, I'm sitting inside my cockpit. I'm rotating my cockpit. I'm going to hit Control V for this ugly monstrosity. Okay, well, I'm in the cockpit. And we're in the game. We're inside our cockpit. Everything looks cool. If you'll notice up here on the status bar up here that our tank is gray looking, but it looks like it has some. You can see where I had those edit mesh modifiers in 3D Max. I particularly don't want those on there, so what I would want to do is go back into the game and back in 3D Max and just make all that gray with that multi-sub. But it's functioning, and that's how you make a tank in 3D Max or Starsiege. I know it's a little rusty right now, but as soon as we get to where we can actually create skin palettes for these models in a different world, you can use external tools such as I have a tool called UV Mapper that will actually you can use to create skin palettes for models. You have to export as 3ds, but I want to learn it exactly the way they did it for Starsiege. I don't want to be guessing.